Greetings, friends, on this lovely Wednesday, January 10th, 2018. It's about noon, starting the day a little bit late. I was out yesterday pretty late, so didn't really fall asleep for a while, and since my lower back is still recovering, just thought I'll sleep in and just let myself, rest. So, weather's pretty good. It's a nice, comfortable 50s. Nice overcast in the 50s. I think this might even rain a little bit later. Seems like it's cold in a whole bunch of other places, right? So, but who knows, huh? Maybe we'll get that cold temperature after you guys. We're a third of the way through in January, folks. Ah, yes. So, I'm doing better, as you can probably see. I'm still not over it. I'd say it's now more of a discomfort than a pain, but like a lesser and lesser discomfort. But I think, like the exercises and stretching and blah 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 I've been doing definitely helps and is necessary. Like I said, at this point, it's obvious that weight loss alone will not be enough. I clearly have to maintain stretching, and I don't even think it's the abs at this point. I think I gotta probably hit that lower back directly, folks, and get that strengthened up. I think at this point, honestly, I think my lower back just is fucking weak, so I will be doing that. And I mean, none of this is really surprising, right? It's just I've got a routine down. I just have to consistently stick to it after all the pain is gone. And you stick to it long enough. It takes about 7 minutes in the morning, 7 minutes in the evening, twice a day. You barely even notice it, but you just force yourself to do it, and eventually it becomes a habit. And it's one of those, like, you get older, and it's a thing that's now just something that you got to do. It is not just like, oh, I'll just sort of lay in bed a few days and there you go, I'm over it. Not really anymore. Not really anymore. I went back to work Monday, Tuesday. I'm off today. Monday was okay, but a little rough. Tuesday was definitely better. Like I said, it's more of a discomfort than a pain. But you give discomfort enough time, and eventually, like, it feels like it's eating away at your mind. But it was better. So, and I'm glad I waited a little bit to make this video, because I was in a weird mood. I'm still in a weird mood, but no longer I feel that gloomy. Part of it has to do is my back feels better. Now, I'm not a person that's that handles pain very well. Especially when it comes to back pain. Something about it, like, maybe I've talked about it on this channel, or maybe I mentioned it on, like, the previous Forever Alone Feels channel. Like, man, when my back hurts, like, my mood just fucking sucks. And, like, when it gets better, like, I just feel better. If that makes sense. That's a beer on that my mom but I don't know why there's a beer there. And toilet paper, I think. I don't know. This isn't my room. Yeah, is that your grandma room? But, yeah, see, you don't put something away and it's just randomly sitting somewhere. It's like, hey, what the fuck is that doing there? So yeah, it was that, where it was just like towards the end of the day yesterday, like, oh man, my back feels better noticeably. It just, you feel good, and I finally got past a programming problem in the C programming book that I was stuck on. It was one of those things where, like, I was kind of working on it a little bit at work during quiet times. Just pulled up a PDF and a terminal on the computer. And so it was just like, I started from the very beginning of the book, obviously. This is like, I swear, this is like the third or fourth time, you know, this is what, like, since 2015, maybe late 2015, then I'm like, I'm gonna learn coding, right? But you know me, folks. You know me. I might give up on things, but eventually, given enough time, I finally, something finally digs its hooks into me, and I actually stick to it. I guess I'm just sort of a type of person that, you know, I might give up on things a lot, but eventually, after enough time, probably way too much time, I do actually stick to something and learn the lesson of it, right? But it is pretty funny of, like, several years later, of just like, how many goddamn times have I stopped and, like, restarted this book? Oh, but I mean, it's the same thing with dieting, right? I mean, how many years was I talking about how I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, and look at that, folks. I know it's kind of hard to make the point because this is a new channel that's not even a year old at this point. If I still had Forever Alone Feels, I started that in August 2013. Yeah, whatever is that, 4.5 years at this point? Whatever. You know, I say a lot of things. I give up on little things. But hey, look at that, folks. Years later, I'm like, I've lost track of how many days. It's got to be over 100 days easily at this point that I've been on a diet. How about that, folks? Years later, I've finally actually stuck to something. So that's how I'm taking it with coding. You know, I'm not gonna get depressed and think about, like, God damn, how long have I talked about this? Sooner or later, I will finally internalize it and learn the lesson. So it is pretty funny to start the book over again and just get stuck on some of the same exercises it gives you. Yeah, I was just there and, like, you know, back is sort of hurting, and I'm just like thinking about this goddamn, like, oh, copy the input to the output, but if there's more than one blank space, make it only show one blank space. So I'm just like going it over in my head and all that. So finally, at the end of the day, it was pretty quiet and I got it figured out, and like, oh man, my lower back feels better too and all that, that I just felt good, you know? One of those little moments that you sort of appreciate. One little victory, so to speak. So, I think the other thing too is I internalized and accepted some things. I feel more mellow about it and accepting versus being overly dramatic and all that, because I've definitely been learning lately about myself, folks, that I have a very bad tendency to build things up in my head to a much further degree than the reality of it, both good and bad, making something seem way more exciting than it's actually going to be, or much worse than it will actually be. Like, I've been this way for a long time. And I think maybe I'm getting better with it. I mean, maybe if I can see it, they're like, okay, dude, just stop. But I think it was just a part of, like, a holdover from, being really anxious and nervous and social anxiety, and just, that was like a protective mechanism for me, where you just imagine how bad everything's gonna be and then hope for the best. So, I was just thinking about, like, you know, just thinking about, like, I feel like I was a couple years ago, I was saying, oh, how great it would just be to be a NEET, right? To just quit my job, live off of savings. Maybe I'll be so motivated and blah, blah, blah. Having some of this time here where, between some of the holidays and being out sick, just a long stretch of time, you're basically just at home kind of doing nothing. Like, man, that gets boring pretty fast. The whole, oh, I can stay up as long as I want and sleep in and all that. Like, it gets it gets painfully unexciting. And it really is. It's just, you wake up in the day and you just have the usual, you're sort of groggy, don't really want to do anything. You should do this or that, but, like, it is not a movie montage with a blaring soundtrack and all this motivation and excitement. It's just every day. It's this feeling where it's all just sort of very underwhelming, It all feels very underwhelming. And it's just like, oh, I just have to work on this. And so going back to, I think it was just some stuff where it happened on Monday, where it really hit me, I think. Just some of the, further changes at work, more people moving on and all that. Further reminder of, like, other people moving on with shit while you've been kind of spinning your wheels in place for God knows how long. People maybe that I was a little bit closer with that kind of hit me pretty good, and just this feeling, once again, of all these little things that you seemingly used to enjoy that just don't provide the same enjoyment and feeling anymore. Hit me pretty good Monday for some reason. So now I think I've sort of accepted it in a mellow way and feel like I've kind of, it's not this dramatic thing hovering in my head. I know it sounds weird, but I said it's been in generally a weird mood. It's like a combination of feeling like you're a stranger in a familiar place, if that makes sense. Imagine, you ever remember in high school where you, like, graduated and then you went to, not like you graduated from 9th grade to 10th, and maybe, like, in 10th grade, like, maybe there was a teacher in 9th grade that you liked, maybe you, like, went and visited or something, or maybe, like, when you graduated high school, like, I don't know, I went back once when I was in college with a couple of other friends. Like, we just visited this one teacher we liked, And, familiar classroom, familiar teacher. All the students are obviously way different, and they've got their own stuff going on. And it's just, you're kind of standing there just like looking around and kind of feel like, obviously, like, your time is past there. It makes sense. So what I mean is sort of this feeling of like being a stranger in a familiar place. And I think a part of that definitely has to do with I've long since gone past my shelf life at work. No pun intended. And I said the loss of all these little things that you used to enjoy that you can't get enjoyment out of anymore, stuff like that. And the other part of it is this weird almost this feeling almost like you've woken from a dream, right? You're woken from a dream of sorts. I think Tuesday morning, that feeling was pretty big. I look back at like the last 15 years, folks, and it's like, oh shit, did any of that happen? Like, and I don't literally mean that, but there are some things that I'm almost like, did that actually happen, or did I just like insert that memory into my head or something? That's what I mean, is the past just, just this, it feels like you've kind of woken up from this dream and you're groggy and like, oh, what's going on? So I feel better now, but I think it was, like I said, hitting me pretty bad Monday and Tuesday morning. I remember years ago when I was a shelver, working with my half Afghani friend, just shelving away. Remember, pretty much the highlight of each week was Tuesday, because me and him worked Tuesday night. After 5, some of the other, basically the other shelvers left, and it was just me and him. So it was pretty great, because the rest of the people we worked with on Tuesdays were pretty, it was like, oh, just finally leave and get out of the way. So it's a nice, comfy evening. We'd kind of sit in the back a little bit, listen to 80s music, joke with each other, kind of go out towards the end of the evening and shelve stuff really quick, etc., because it was sort of dead. So I was like, all right, we put in a bunch of work towards the front of the day. Now we'll just sort of relax a little bit. Worked well with each other, and remember Tuesdays, I think new video games would come out, so it'd be like, oh yeah, you're gonna play this or that. And I remember Tuesdays is we'd always kind of listen to the Giant Bomb podcast. Gave me this like iPod Touch that could connect to the internet and download podcasts. So we'd be downloading podcasts towards the end of the day. So I was off Wednesday, so it was this feeling of like, oh yeah, new video games, and I could, finish, just go take the bus home and listen to this podcast and whatever, come home, stay up late playing a new video game, or go take a walk out at night listening to this Giant Bomb podcast, whatever. It was, it was probably the highlight of each week for about a year or more. It probably sounds pretty dumb at this point. It is kind of dumb thinking about it now, but came home Monday after work, and I decided to go work out, which was my first workout in like 2 weeks. 1 week I was out with my second cold in December, then the next week was the back problem, so I was pretty antsy, folks. I was pretty like restless and like, oh man, I need to move my body, I need to work out, like I'm tired of just sitting down and laying down and whatever. So, and I was just thinking about that moment from years ago, and and thinking about like the loss of all the little things that you used to enjoy from a little bit ago. Not even that long ago. That's what was sort of scary, where it feels like things that not even that long ago that you used to look forward to and liked, these little cookies that would give you enjoyment, and it's like it's all gone. And it just hit me, and it was a scary feeling, folks, for some reason. I don't know why. I think when it really hits you, it almost feels like this loss of some sorts, where it's something that seemed to be there not that long ago, and it was gone. And it's like, I was thinking like, what is it now? What are the highlights now, folks? I was thinking back to that moment years ago of being a shelver, and what is it now? Mostly what it is now, folks, the highlight of each week seems to be, I would say maybe Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, because that's my workout days. And I've switched to working out after work. I mean, unless I'm off, rather than doing it in the mornings. And I'm much happier with that. It's going much better. But you finish up a work day, you come home, it's late at night, but it's not too late yet. There's usually a new episode of a podcast, a certain podcast that I do subscribe to for money. It comes out on those days. So I've got that to look forward to. So I'll load up the podcast. I'll go to my little cuck gym or pool area. There's nobody there, pretty much usually. So got the place to myself. It's nice and quiet. Can listen to the new podcast. And I usually spend about 40 minutes or so working out. And I was working on pull-up negatives. I decided, since I hadn't worked out in a couple of weeks, I'll start with slow negatives again, which I am feeling in my back, even upper chest, biceps, all that. Did pull-up negatives and hanging leg raises. Gotta hit the core still, but gonna start hitting that lower back directly too. As a side note, today's workout is going to be dips. Oh, you know me. Dips and bridges. Stretch and strengthen that lower back. But I was working on the pull-up negatives, feeling pretty good. Body was very happy to be finally exercising, and just kind of walking around the area, listening to podcasts, just looking around, and I'm like, this is sort of what it is now, This is sort of my lonely little enjoyment, my little highlight of the week now. And I said, all of it just sort of hit me at once in that moment, and like I said, a very weird, gloomy mood, folks. A very weird, gloomy mood that I think is finally mellowed out, accepted it. it is what it is. Gotta accept it and move on and not get overly dramatic about some things. Because I feel like some of the change, some of the people moving on and all that and stuff, I would handle it pretty, like, weirdly emotionally in the past. So, especially if it was people that you're close to that, almost like this thing that it feels like was snagged away from you, that you can't find comfort in anymore. So that's alright, folks. It is what it is for now. Can finish up a work day, come home, listen to a podcast, work out by myself. Well, obviously, I don't need a workout partner for what I'm doing or anything. And it's my solitary little enjoyment. The highlights, I should say, the highlights of each week. I gotta take back one thing I said. I think I was wrong on it. And I sort of talked before that I do a little hanging out with friends in real life each week. A little bit. But I described it where it's the feeling that it's mostly just good acquaintances rather than friends, and I said, if I were to leave or not see these people again, I wouldn't miss it, whatever, but gotta say, I think I was wrong on that, as much as I may enjoy being alone and all that, like, once you really get it, once you really get the, like, being alone part, I think it's a little bit scarier than you, and not as enjoyable as you think it would be. And I think about my dad, because, he has nobody, literally, me and my mom, and there's, like, nobody left at this point that he talks to at all. Like, once in a blue moon, he'll talk to some old friend on Skype, but, man, that is very infrequent. He just goes to work, comes home, talks to me, my mom. They'll sit in the living room watching TV. He'll just be on his phone playing Bejeweled. And that's his, that's his sort of life at this point. And it's like, be very careful of this whole, I just want to be alone. Because I think, when you get it, it may not be as great as you thought it was. That, maybe at this point I don't really enjoy the things that we do anymore like I did in the past. And maybe I'm having to put on a little bit of a mask, all that stuff. But I think I realized I just have to enjoy it for what it is while it's still there. Maybe I am sort of like, haha, yes, I still enjoy this. But, it's at least some sort of socializing with people in the real world outside of work. And it won't be there forever, folks. It won't be there forever because, people, man, eventually things come to an end. Eventually people move on with life and you just, seems like you're well connected with people. Think back to, like, some of the friendships you've had. I think especially if you're older, some of the friendships you've had, whatever points in your life, and these people that seem like good friends and all this, and just whatever happened, you kind of lose connection. don't keep up and don't keep in touch as much anymore, grow apart, and then it's sort of gone. So that's the thing, is just be a little, I'm trying to be a little bit grateful for what it is, for a little bit of human contact, for what it is, while it's still there. So I take back that. Take back that. I don't know, folks. Maybe I'm in a weird transition period from one phase of life ending and another beginning, but I don't really know, and try not to think about it too much, because who knows how things are gonna turn out. But it's like this is it right here. Like, you got the day off. Like, it's noon. Got the house to yourself. All the people you've known, all the people that have come and gone, whatever you thought would happen with life, whatever it's turned into, whatever you enjoy, don't enjoy anymore, used to enjoy. Here you are, just sitting alone in your parents' room, alone in the house, drinking coffee, talking into a camera. Like, this is it, Now what, right? And this is it. What's the plan for the rest of the day, folks? Obviously, I'm not going to just sit here all day. So I'm going to finish up this coffee. I'm going to go to the park, take a little walk, get some fresh air, because I am really tired of being in the house all day. Warm up that lower back and whatever a little bit. Come home. Do my dips, my bridges, do my stretching exercise, and then spend the rest of the day, just open up that C programming book and continue on, folks. It's not perfect yet. I'm not Mr. Discipline yet. Shout out. This is your shout out. Didn't I already give you one? Soldier Boy 42. I'm not completely there yet where it's like, oh, I get up early in the morning and immediately start and all that, but I'm just trying to spend time every day just so it doesn't turn into, however that time goes, whether it's like, I sit there and I do it for 15 minutes and then walk away for a few minutes in my little daydreamy phase and come back to it for another 15 minutes and walk, whatever I need to do right now so that I do it every day until I can finally cement it into like extreme discipline, but I said it's all just very uneventful. There's no you just you wake up and it's just another day, just another day with the same meh feeling, and I don't know. So that's where I'm at, and that's the plan for today. But I guess that's just what it has to be for now, folks. That's just what it's going to have to be for now. Building up further habits to do things that will hopefully lead to something else, right? But try not to think too much about the future too much right now. Just day-to-day work. Day-to-day work, folks. 'Cause, you definitely have days you wake up and it's just, man, you don't give a fuck at all. Like, you might have been super excited and built something up in your head one day, and like the next day you wake up and you're like, it feels so deflated. So none of that. Day-to-day, uneventful, unexciting work. Maybe it's building up the foundation for hopefully something. Alrighty, friends. Hope you're doing well. See you around. Well, that was a huge mistake, folks. It's a little addendum to the video. That was a huge mistake, probably going out to the park. I definitely, maybe I wasn't being honest with myself why I wanted to go out there. Sorry, I'm just came home, kind of broke out in tears. Been pacing around the place. Got the dip stand out here, so just thought I'd record this, just get it off my mind. You go out and I'll take a nice long walk and take a nice long walk, and you're standing out there in a familiar spot, and it hits you with a familiar place that you remember some of the hopes and desires whatever that you had, right? And you're standing there and you feel nothing. And you feel nothing, right? I've been here before. Remember what I used to feel, then think and hope. And there's nothing here anymore. It really hits you. Why did I even go out there? Why'd I even go out there? I feel utterly lost, folks. Utterly lost. Going back constantly to old familiar places. Hoping to find something there. Hoping you feel something. Maybe you'll remember something. Maybe something still something inside of you that you've forgotten, and hope that it, and there's nothing there at all. So that's sort of where you're at. It's that really awful feeling, folks, of just feeling completely and utterly lost. It sort of seems like anything you grab onto it sort of slips through your hand like you're a ghost or something, Like you can't. You think you're about to touch something. Oh yeah, you're gonna touch your ding dong. You think you're gonna touch something that finally feels real, and your hand goes right through it. Who are you? Where are you? What do you even want? What are you even doing? There's nothing there. My mind feels utterly blank. we're gonna finish up doing dips, man. And yeah, man, we're gonna learn coding. Whew, man, there is nothing quite like getting a reminder that you haven't felt for a long time of the absolute pointlessness that your life has been, you know? That your life has been completely bullshit. Completely bullshit. You know, whatever you've constructed in your mind of who you are and blah blah blah, it has all been a lie, hasn't it? Just not fun when it truly dawns on you, does it? It's been a lie of my own creation. You know, this isn't some sort of like, oh, rant and rave against the world. Oh, I was this or that. It's just, you know, this sort of meaningless existence that you've concocted and called it your life, your day-to-day life. Just all the time you've wasted and all the pointless shit that you've thought about and, you know, gone down the whatever path on, you know, you've gone so far, you don't know where the fuck you are anymore. Oh. Oh, man. Man, oh, man. Perhaps it's good to let it out, right? But, boy. The truth sure isn't pleasant, isn't it? Having some pretty serious flashbacks, folks, to near the end of 2012. If you've been following my channel for any amount of time, I know I've talked about that period of time when I had a pretty serious mental little, I don't want to say breakdown per se, but it's one of those things where, folks, it mark my words, it will catch up to you. Everything eventually does. You can tell yourself, oh, I'm okay with what I'm doing, even though I know deep inside this is probably wrong and I shouldn't be doing and blah, blah, blah. You can get away with it for a while, maybe even years, but there is going to come a day, it is going to catch up to you, and believe me, folks, it's going to hit you you'll know it. You will know it, folks. This will not be oh, I'm just sitting in my room or my car or whatever and feeling a little down. It's going to be, you know, seemingly maybe 1 second you're okay, and the next, something feels wrong, doesn't it? Something feels terribly fucking wrong. And so I just remember back to that moment, folks, when it caught up to me and whatever I construed my life to be. Oh, I felt lost, whatever, after at college and blah, blah. And I got my little shelver job and I felt like I belonged. And I'll just do this, right? I'll just do this, whatever. And, 7 years later, it, one day you wake up and it really hits you, and it's just, it's the same feeling, like what the fuck have I been doing, Like, where the fuck am I? You don't know where you are anymore. Whew. I guess sometimes, folks, you need a reminder from life, don't you? If you don't listen to it when it's quiet, there's gonna come a day when it's not that quiet anymore. I think that's gonna finish up for this series of rambles from Grandma's room. You need Grandma? No, it's not my grandma. It's my parents' room. I better finish up the rest of the stretches and stuff, and we'll see. Maybe it'll rain a little bit. Enjoy a little bit of a rainstorm, folks. I've got some very serious stuff to think about tonight, I think. Alright, folks, bye-bye. Alright, friends, I guess I keep lying that I'm saying, oh, it's the last segment of the rambling video for today, but I guess not. I guess there's sort of one more. We got a nice little rain shower here that we've not had for quite a while, I feel like. It feels great, and of course I get to enjoy it in a weird, I don't want to say sick state, but sorry if I'm a little out of it. I sort of learned that if I'm going to do back bridges, I should probably lay on the floor after I'm done doing them, just for a few minutes, just so, your blood sort of recirculates whatever in your body. Because I've had this happen before. I think you're like in a upside down, backwards bending state, and I think alright, well, I did my sets, I'll stand up. It was just like the blood flow, whatever, I got very lightheaded and queasy, folks. I think it's clearing up a little bit, but it was very oh, god damn it. Gosh darn it. And here I was looking forward to enjoying a nice little rainstorm. think I'm getting better. Couldn't even finish my stretch routine. I just like looked at myself in the mirror. I could have swore I looked pale or something. I was just like, oh fuck, I just lay down, no movement, whatever, and then like, air feels stuffy. I'm gonna try to go outside, see if I can get some fresh air from the breeze. Remember, do your back bridges and just lay there for a few minutes, let everything recirculate. Whew, right? Man, what a day it's been. I thought I would I'll just sort of get up, do this, do that, work on whatever, and did not expect it to become such a weirdly emotional little day. I really want to reiterate one thing, folks. Just one more thing. If I can save any of you from having made the mistakes that I've made, I can consider my time on YouTube a success, some sort of a success. That, folks, believe me, the feeling that you have nothing to show for your life is not one that you want to experience, believe me. So once again, if you've got feelings about, sorry, my hand's getting tired of holding it that way. If you've got feelings that something is wrong and you maybe shouldn't be doing this and you really should be doing that and whatever it is, trust me, you don't want to ignore that inner voice. As I said, there's something about that particular feeling when it's, the huge passage of time and like, what did I accomplish, honestly? Basically nothing. It is gonna be a hot knife going through butter of your ego or whatever. So man, what is the future? What is the future for Georgie Boy in 2018? We've had our little emotional episode, whatever today. Damn it. This arm is getting tired again. So what is the future, I had this imaginary conversation with my mom in my head earlier. Maybe it was just me wanting to feel sorry for myself and come crying to mom, right? Whereas just telling her, imaginary conversation once again, telling her that, just the thought of all this time that's passed and how little you've actually accomplished and done anything and how much time you've wasted and all of the things that you say, because this is the thing where it's like, oh, I'm thinking about doing this. I know they probably like roll their eyes because I've said it so many numerous times throughout the years. Oh, I'm thinking about doing this and I'm thinking about doing that, and how yeah, well, that turned out something, isn't it? Thinking back to college of like, I remember going through the little like, oh yeah, I like computers. I'll like get a computer science degree. It's like, I'd like to make video games. I'd like to make video games and whatever. And all the other shit I've said throughout the years that maybe, folks, what happened is I made so many empty promises that I never followed through on that it became, like I said, you lose track of who you are. That it's just like, and once again, I do want to reiterate, this isn't me, oh, I'm ranting against the world. Like this is all on me, folks. This is all on me. Everything for me, for some odd reason, has to come way later in life than everybody else. Like, oh, good, you overcame the fear of driving and all that. And it's just funny to think, like, this is shit that people do when they're like 16, not when they're 27. Oh, man. So, I guess you just have to accomplish something, right? Accomplish something so that you can finally get back to what you were supposed to have done years ago, maybe. So that you have maybe something to finally stand on, if that makes sense. Maybe the reason why everything feels so ethereal or something, or you feel ethereal, is because, that's what it is. You have nothing to show for your time on this earth, just numerous empty promises. And so maybe that's what it is just, that's why it feels like you can't grab onto anything, because, well, this is what you've kind of established through the years in your life. And so it feels like you can't stand on anything because you've not actually done anything. So there's nothing for you, no foundation for you to stand on anything. If I could analyze myself, so to speak. I guess the future for Georgie Boy in Sorry about the interruption. My parents came home, so, you're in the middle of a nice little ending to a rant and can't even do that since your parents come home, and it's, kills the mood. So, last one, I promise. Man, this is turning out to be possibly the longest. I think this might be the longest ramble that I've ever done, but admittedly it's not in one go. So it's like a compilation, a compilation of rambles that ties back together to form one story, one sad little story, right? So I'm feeling better. Still a little woozy, but not sick, like whatever. So, I want to get out here, find a parking lot somewhere where, I can get a free car wash. It's a free car wash, but enjoy absolutely gorgeous, very dark sunset. And like I said, just haven't had a rainstorm at all, I think, in quite a long time. So, I was actually thinking about something that was sort of interesting that I mentioned, feeling like a ghost or something, like you try to grab something and your hand goes through it. That I described my experience in high school as basically, how does it look with the, I don't know. There we go, whatever. My experience in high school is basically just sort of feeling like a ghost. You know, you just sort of went through it, and I don't know. I was driving here, and that sort of occurred to me that was interesting. That's a similar analogy. You know, it's I mean, what can you say, folks? Yeah, you already said a lot. You already said the same thing over and over. What can you say, folks? It's a pattern, you know? It's a pattern of years and years and years and years, literally years and years, folks, of this sort of ethereal daydreaming and just sort of, you know, empty promises and no accomplishments. So it becomes, you know, together over time. Of course you're going to feel the way you are, where, you know, it's hold on, is it still, there we go, get a little peace and quiet. So it feels like, well, not that it feels like, it is what it is. You have nothing to show for it, you know? Just sort of these empty thoughts with nothing to show for it. Man, oh man. You know, it's almost like you're basically just, I guess what's sort of sad about that really is that these are empty promises that you haven't even been like necessarily making to people, so they're disappointed in you or whatever. I mean, whatever, maybe with my parents, but all this time it's been stuff that you've been telling yourself. So you've literally, what the fuck is that? Oh, that's like a person in a, alright, I freaked out a little. So it literally, folks, has been, sure the door windows are closed. So it literally, you have literally been making empty promises to yourself. You've been disappointing yourself. You've been, I don't know, letting down yourself, you know? Alright, yeah, good. Walk that way. Don't walk in this direction. Whatever. So, you know, it turns into, you know, that's why you have the feeling where you don't know what the fuck you want anymore, which seems crazy, you know? That might seem crazy, so you probably, oh, Georgie boy is getting all emotional and crying and blah blah blah, and what do you mean you don't know what you want to do? I mean, this is how it happens, folks. This is how it happens when you literally have years where you've literally been screwing yourself over, not even other people. So you're screwing yourself over for literally like no benefit. That it's, and you know, that's what it happens, where you don't trust yourself. You don't know what you want to do. You don't even know who the fuck you are. So, I'm calm, not emotional anymore. It's probably for the best that it happened, I think, maybe you do need a slap from time to time when you're not doing what you should be doing, as like a bigger reminder, If you've got nothing to stand on, nothing to show for anything, can't seemingly trust yourself and any of that, the only way you're going to be able to fix it is to start actually getting things done so that you finally have something to actually stand on. So that you can become grounded and you're not floating up in the air like a goddamn ghost. Going to have to actually start getting things done and not just, push it back something to another time, right? As the only person that you're really screwing over is yourself. And for no benefit at all. So, well, I have no idea if any of you are going to watch this entire thing. That was my, it's time to finally end it, folks. That will now actually be it for the video. Gonna have to start actually getting things done. Not just endless years of empty promises. So, I have no idea if anyone's going to watch this long. This has been all over the damn place. But mostly a lot of the same old shit, right? But such as old Georgie boy. I usually don't learn my lesson the first time. Sometimes it takes me a very long time to finally get the damn point. Okay. Alright, folks. That will now do it. Bye-bye.